Today in this video we are going to discuss how to use environment variables in Nuxt 3. Even though most of the things are mentioned in documentation, I will show things practically by implementing them for quick and easy understanding. If you are interested in more topics related to Nuxt 3, go check out my other Nuxt 3 videos, link in description. Nuxt 3 environment variables can be broadly classified into two types: runtime environment variables, build time environment variables. We define runtime environment variable in nuxt.config.ts file, and build time environment variables are defined in app.config.ts file. To use runtime variables, we use runtime config helper, and to use build time environment variables, we use app config helper. Runtime environment variables can be further classified into two types: server-side environment variable and client-side environment variable. In Nuxt 3, we can override server-side environment variable with .env values. Now let's check usage of these environment variables practically. So for this I will be using my same project that I've used in my previous videos. So I will open Nuxt app project. And here I have Nuxt config ts and app config ts. So let's open Nuxt config ts. So I have couple of environment variables already there, which are predefined environment variables. Now let's declare another environment variable. Which will be available during runtime. So we will copy this from the documentation and we will use it here. So here I have API secret and API base as environment variable, in which API secret is the runtime environment variable which is available on server side, and API base is public environment variable which will not be available on the server side. Which will be available on the server side but will also be available on public side. But this API secret won't be available on public side. So let's save this. And we just learned that using use runtime config we can access these environment variables. So I will copy this from documentation and just console log it in the app.view. And we will see what this console log gives us. Now let's build our application. So anyway, I have started this developer tool, but I think it will be visible on this terminal. Okay, so it's giving some error. Let's see what's the error. Okay, so I think we are getting this error because of this container. So for now we will just remove this because this is not relevant. Failed to load cart. So there are few things which are actually not relevant. Okay, so what we were looking for, we can see here. So here we are getting the console log of environment variables, and you can see here that uh, the API secret we can get here, and if we just want to log API secret, then we can access it like this. And if we want to access API base, then we have to access it through public property. And now if we try to refresh this, we are getting the value for API secret and API base. So we are getting both the things on server side, but if we want to access this on the client side, we will just get this API base because we have declared it as public in environment variable. Now let's move to another thing, that is overriding the value. So we learned that we can override the values of environment variable using .env. So let's create a .env file. And let's just paste what is there in the documentation. And earlier we were getting the value as 123, but now if we refresh our app, I think we need to restart the server. Maybe it doesn't allow adding .env just when the application is running. So now you can see the value that we are getting is different from the value that we were getting earlier, and this value is coming from .env. So it's clear that the .env value is overriding the value that is mentioned in nuxtconfig.ts. So we saw that how to use the runtime configuration environment variable, which is there in server side as well as which is there in public or client side, and also how to override it. And now let's move to build time environment variable, which is also called app configuration. App configuration is basically for things like if you want to declare the value of a color used in the theme or something similar. So you can see the example, they have mentioned example like the theme colors, dark, primary, or the title for the website. These type of things which are going to be used after the application is which will be used at the time when the application is being built. So for that purpose we will be using build time environment variables. We already have a app.config ts, which you can see here, and here I have mentioned a API URL. So for now let's remove this, and now just let's add this here. I hope we don't get any error message. Okay, we are not getting any error message. You can see that we are not getting the value of the server side environment variable, and it's coming as undefined, whereas we are getting the public environment variable in the console of browser. So this also shows like the server side environment variable are not accessible publicly or on the client side. Now let's console log the build time environment variable, and we know that for that we need use app config helper. So let's use this helper in app view itself, just below the runtime config. And let's log it here. So sorry, I closed it. So now if we build our application, let's see what we get to see in the terminal. So here we are getting the values of build time environment variable, which is the title, the theme, and inside the theme there is dark as true and color has primary and the primary color code whatever it is. So let's try to access just the title. So you can see here that we were able to access the title, that is Hello Nuxt, and one more thing I would like to show you, which is directly not mentioned in the documentation, is that if you want to use a public environment variable differently in production and development environment, then you can just check the node environment and put a condition there. So you must have already done this in other applications, like if you have worked on view applications then you must be familiar with it, but still I would like to show this for those who are new to Nuxt as well as like view environment. So suppose we want to, in the public we want to use a API key, but we want to use a different value in production and different in development environment, then we can just check the process dot environment dot node env if it is production, and based on this we can just put value like 1 2 3 value or 4 5 6 value. So let's wait, because this public variable you cannot override using .env in Nuxt 3. So if you see here, then I think we have to, because we are checking the values individually, I think I have to log it separately. So runtime config public and API key, and now let's see what we get. Maybe I have to refresh the page. So here you can see we are getting 456 value for API key because the application is running in development environment. If we build the application and then run it, then we will be getting 123 value. So this value is for development and this value is for production, and right now the application is working in development, so we are getting 456 value. So that's it. I think that this video will be helpful for you if you quickly want to understand environment variables in Nuxt 3. I hope you liked the video. If you do, please do subscribe to the channel. We'll keep posting Nuxt 3 videos as well as some Blazing Technologies videos. And thank you so much for watching this video. Have a nice day. Bye bye. I would like to give an update regarding environment variables. The environment variable and values mentioned in .env file won't work on production server. So in that case, what we need to do is that we need to first build the application with npm run build, and once the application is built successfully, we just need to copy the variable we want to use in production. We need to paste it, and we need to run the application like this. So now if we run our application, so the application is running, and this environment variable is available with this value, and the .env file variable and value is not being used. So this is how we have to use the environment variables mentioned in .env in production environment, because the environment variable values don't get picked up from .env in production environment. So I hope you won't have to waste your time searching this. So I just updated this video with this information. Thank you.